When was the last time you heard a song by the Beatles? At History Miami, you can refresh your Beatlemania memory or experience the Fab Four for the very first time. So, let's come together to experience, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
This exhibition is produced by the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, and it's really the impact of the Beatles' arrival in the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles, the title of the exhibition refers to the way they were introduced at the Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles first arrived in New York City in February 1964, and it was a great introduction to this incredible new style of music, new look at the future of music, really, rock and roll. People were enamored already by the Beatles, and when they arrived here, but people realized quickly their impact on music, and the numbers of people that even showed up at the airport, at the concert, it was overwhelming. I don't think anybody expected that. When the Beatles first arrived in the United States, in New York and in Miami, what you saw was an incredible outpour of fandom. You know, you see all the teen girls and boys all over the airport, hanging over the railings, pouring out of the windows, trying to get a glimpse of the Beatles getting off the airplane and getting into their cars.
Knowing that the Beatles were coming, we loved loving you. My sister was totally in love with the Beatles, and so we heard all the songs, and when they came on and they sold them, introduced them, she just screamed, along with everyone else in the studio audience during the whole performance, and that was it. And that was one of the great moments that one remembers.
When the Beatles arrived in New York for the first time, they were escorted into the Pan Am press room. So right here we're recreating what it felt like, what it looked like. You know, Pan Am was the major airway at the time, and most people flew into the United States through Pan American Airways. So here we have the press room with the microphones and the logos in the back. So I'm standing in front of a replica. We kind of recreated what the stage looked like at one of the Ed Sullivan Show concerts. It had these large arrows pointing to the stage, real simple setup. Interestingly enough, they didn't travel with their drums. The drums that you see on stage were made just for the United States tour. One of the interactives in the exhibition is a Ringo Starr-led tutorial drum set, on a drum set. Put your headphones on and you'll have an electronic drum set, and he carries you through a few lessons on different rhythms that he uses and how to play a basic song. A few of the key pieces really in this exhibition include the jacket worn by Paul McCartney at Shea Stadium in 1965. Great thing is you look through these pieces, these artifacts, they're so personal. And some of them, you can tell how small, how tall they were. We have Ringo Starr's black coat that he wore in Abbey Road cover, in the famous cover when they're crossing the street. He's wearing that black jacket. We have John Lennon's original tiny little round glasses that he's famous for. These were too small, so these are the ones on the exhibit. Later on, he purchased a larger pair that he's famous for wearing in all his solo albums and later on in his career. Another great section we have in this exhibition is the memorabilia or the collectibles, the things that people gathered and found, and the likenesses of the Beatles that were reproduced on everything from shoes to lunch boxes to 45 record holders. Anything you can think of, we have 2 cases full of these items. Here we have the famous lock-up hair collector from John Lennon. And it's signed by John Lennon, and he actually writes from the bald John Lennon. And it's a small lock-up hair. It was given to a lucky fan at the show, and it has a ticket from 1963, August 1963. Good piece. We've reproduced a typical teen's bedroom. Unlike a fan's bedroom today for any musical group, back then it was covered and plastered with posters, their record collection, which is different than today from the digital player. So you see the records scattered across their desk, a board game based on the Beatles, and then scrapbooks and cutouts of all different magazines that a typical teen might have been cutting out to do a collage. And it's a great piece because everybody walks by there and it brings back memories of growing up in the 60s listening to the Beatles. A popular component of the exhibition is the oral history booth that we have set up. So you can come in and walk into a soundproof booth, and a display walks you through the steps to record your memories of the Beatles. So people can go in there and talk about the first time they heard a Beatles song, or the first time they heard them in concert, or their memories about the Beatles. And these are all recorded for posterity. The LA Museum, the Grammy Museum in LA will use these and provide them and make them available for people, for future generations. This exhibition not only covers the Beatles' impact and their musicianship here in the United States, it also covers their beginnings, their origins, starting in a small town, Liverpool, and also their influences. So you'll see some artifacts from Elvis Presley, you'll see Ray Charles' jacket, James Brown's clothing, stage outfits. And at first people say, well, so why are these things in the exhibition? And if you listen to their accounts of how they got started in music and the roots of their music, it's influenced by all these different artists. One of the things you take away from this exhibition is that when you walk through and you realize that the Beatles were so popular and they had an incredible tour schedule. Within 2 years, they toured 30 or 40 different places. These days, a band usually only does one concert a week. So that led really to their burnout. After 2.5 years of touring the United States, they didn't come back. A couple of reasons they cited were too many fans. Too many people, they couldn't even hear themselves play. The technology was different back then, the speaker systems, the microphones. So they were on stage playing and half the time they couldn't even hear themselves. And all those things led them to start thinking about really how they wanted to approach their music. Eventually it led to different styles of music being played. So the Beatles, as a Fab Four, only lasted for 2.5 years.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter.